There was a note from my fiancé. My parents don't think you're worth anything. I'm going to rest. I said, understood. And then I took my part out of our wedding fund. Made sure her broken was expensive and permanent. Hey everyone. I need your help before we start today's video. We've seen that the channel isn't getting as much attention as it used to, and subscribing is one of the finest ways you can help us. It's free, quick, and it helps us keep making great stuff for you. Your help means everything. Let's work together to make this channel bigger. Thank you very much. Let's get the video going now. Hey, Reddit. My fiancée packed her luggage for a vacation since her family thought I was worthless. Then I found out she had already called off the wedding and moved on to someone else. This is how it went wrong. I, a 30-year-old man, never thought I'd be one of those people with a tale like this. I grew up in a working-class area in Cleveland where I was taught to believe in hard labor, honest speech, and keeping your word. My dad worked at the same factory for 35 years, and my mom taught second grade at the local elementary school. They were able to pay for my trade school without going into debt. My fiancée Chloe, who is 27 years old, came from a different world. 4 years ago, we met at a friend's barbecue. She was there with a coworker who knew the person who was hosting. I saw her watching me adjust the host's grill, which had been giving me trouble. We had a spark that day, even if we came from different backgrounds. Or maybe it was because of them. She was interested in what she called my authenticity. I liked how confident she was and how she conducted herself. I was with Chloe for more than a year. We had been together for 4 years, and to be honest, things seemed fairly good. We had already sent out save the dates for the wedding, which was slated for next spring. We had also secured this amazing venue that was literally her dream spot. Well, practically everything was good. There was always something going on between her parents, Edward and Lauren. They have a lot of money. People who live in the Hamptons in the summer and Aspen in the winter. I developed my own auto repair shop from the bottom up, and it is now quite successful. They have a good business and make a substantial amount of money, but they are not in the tax bracket. They made it obvious from the start that I wasn't what they wanted for their daughter. Not in a direct way. They were too classy for it. But they were always there, checking in on wedding arrangements and giving advice that felt more like orders. They were like 1,000 paper cuts of disdain. I could tell they didn't like me when I was around them. It was like they believed their daughter was settling for less than she deserved. I will always remember the supper at their vacation home when Edward gave me his keys and asked me to check on his Porsche since it was making a weird noise in the middle of dinner. It was like I was the help, not their future son-in-law. Chloe muttered something about me not wanting to get my hands filthy, but the way she said it didn't sound like she was trying to defend herself. Edward basically answered, "That's what I do for a living." Vanessa, Chloe's older sister, didn't even bother to hide her sneer when she said they should start paying me to be available for their car troubles. I put my pride aside and spent 40 minutes in their garage while everyone else ate. Lauren had the arrogance to bring me a plate of food that she had kept warm when I came back in, as if it were a favor. No one said anything about how messed up the whole thing was. That night when I came home, I told Matt what happened. Since high school, Matt has been my best friend. He works in construction, names BS when he sees it, and has never held back when I need to hear the truth. "Hey, they pretty much called you the help to your face," he added as he grabbed another Pepsi from the little fridge. "What comes next? Asking you to park their cars when guests come over?" Hunter, my German shepherd, put his head on my knee like he knew I was angry. I scratched the back of his ears. Chloe says they are merely looking out for her. Guarding? Hey, they're not keeping her safe from you. They're trying to keep their social status safe. Matt shook his head. I wouldn't put up with that __ for even a second. I shrugged my shoulders. You know what it's like to adore someone. Matt said, "You don't let their family treat them like garbage when you love them. You also don't let anyone treat you like garbage." When I brought up these insults, Chloe always brushed them off. She'd say, "They're just being protective. They want what's best for me." At first, I believed her because that's what you do when you love someone. You have faith in them. We established up this joint account just for paying for the wedding. We all put in $30,000. Mine from years of working on my business. Her parents probably paid for it. We were planned a wedding that would cost roughly $60,000. There were signs I overlooked when I looked back. Chloe began to talk to her parents and Vanessa more privately. She'd leave the room, lower her voice, and start asking questions about stuff we had already agreed on. But when you're in it, you don't always know what's going on. Vanessa, Chloe's older sister who was divorced and knew a lot about men, had Chloe's ear from the start. She was always telling Chloe not to settle. She would give Chloe stories of ladies who married men who were less wealthy and then regretted it. She would introduce Chloe to her rich friends' siblings and relatives, even after we got engaged, always saying the same thing, just socializing. It's okay to have choices. And Chloe let her defend her. She'd remark, "She's just looking out for me." We fought more often. When I called out her family's condescension, she would immediately become angry and claim I was being overly sensitive or that I should try harder to fit in. During one very heated dispute, I told Chloe that Vanessa had called my store my little garage business during a family dinner. Chloe snapped and said, "Maybe I should be more ambitious." That was because her father established an empire while I was happy just servicing cars. I looked at her and saw for the first time the anger that was hidden behind the surface. Those cars paid for half of this wedding and the ring on your finger. Later, she was sorry and said it was because of wedding stress. I agreed to it because I thought we were working towards something substantial. 2 days before she departed, the last straw came. Vanessa had asked to come over to our house to talk about wedding plans. Chloe had gone out to get some supper, so it was just me and Vanessa. Hunter, who never liked Vanessa, stayed away and watched her from his dog bed in the corner with a dubious look on his face. Vanessa told me right away that Chloe was settling down as soon as Chloe left, that she could have anyone better than me, like the son of her father's golf buddy who is a physician and just bought a summer home in the Hamptons. She chuckled when I urged her to leave and said she was working on Chloe and that she will come to her senses eventually. As soon as Chloe got back, I told her. I informed her. "Your sister just told me she's trying to break us up." As soon as she walked in, she said, "What are you talking about, Vanessa?" And then she said, "You're settling with me." "What does it imply, Chloe?" Her face turned red. "Oh my God, Justin, you do this all the time. What do you want?" "Let you know when your family is being mean to me. I put it off for a long time, especially for you, but that was really __. No, you always put a spin on what people say. She was probably just kidding. Come on, don't take it to heart. Are you kidding? Are you ___ serious? Maybe if you weren't so darn worried about Chloe." I raised my voice. "Your sister just disrespected me, and I'm not sure of myself. Yes, I'm insecure." Chloe yelled back. "Because a normal person would laugh it off instead of blowing it up into this big deal. And now you're defending her again. I don't stand up for anyone. I'm weary of every family dinner and every conversation ending with you moaning that they treat me like..." "Sir, do you even see the problem? You need to talk reason to them or things will change. They are only reacting to how you act. You're not happy with Vanessa. At least she doesn't make me pick between my family and my fiancé." She shot back, her eyes full of tears. That was the last fight before everything fell apart. That night, she slept on the couch and Hunter slept in my room. Yes, that was the best night of his life. When I got home from work on Tuesday, I sensed something was wrong. The apartment felt odd, like it was empty. Hunter met me at the entrance instead of his regular seat on the couch, and he followed me around nervously, as if he knew something had changed. I found the note next to her engagement ring on the kitchen counter. 3 paragraphs that might have been summed up in 5 words that hit like a punch. "My family thinks you're not worth anything." The complete message was longer and used softer words to say that we should take a break and think about how well we get along and what we want out of life. But those 5 words, the only ones that truly mattered, blazed through everything else. She wrote that her parents are worried about our future together. "They don't think you can give me the life I deserve. I need some time to figure out what I actually want. I will be with them for a while." She didn't even have the guts to say it to my face. For years, and I get a note. For hours, I sat at the kitchen table. When I moved, her ring caught the light. That 3-carat diamond that 2 years ago, before I even started saving for the wedding, pushed my budget to the limit. The ring that made her smile when I asked her to marry me. Not good enough, not well known enough, useless. After being together for 4 years and her pushing for this grandiose wedding, the time just didn't feel right. In only a few weeks, we had to pay the last deposits for the venue. I had put $30,000 of my savings into our shared wedding account. My brain started working again after the shock and pain. This wasn't a break for feelings. This was a planned way to buy time. A harsh voice in my head said, "Check the venue." The next morning, I called the person in charge of the venue. "Hi Brenda, this is Justin Davies. I wanted to check on some details about the spring wedding menu." There was a pause. Too much time. "Oh, Mr. Davies. Chloe did call on Monday afternoon, though. She called off the reservation on Monday. The day before the break notice was canceled." I kept my voice light. "Not moved to a new date. No, full cancellation. Things that you didn't expect." She responded that the first $10,000 deposit is not refundable. Of course. That deposit came from the account we share. I said thank you to Brenda and hung up. After that, I sat at my kitchen table and stared at nothing. The break was a show. She had already killed the wedding. I signed into my online bank account. Balance of the joint account. There is still $50,000. My $30,000 plus her $30,000 less the $10,000 deposit that was lost. My share of the $50,000 that was left was $25,000. She had killed the wedding and the money was mine. I moved my $25,000 out. Fair, clean, and uncomplicated. Then I texted her, "Chloe, just found out from the venue you can let everything on Monday before your note. So the break is permanent. I've withdrawn my share of the remaining funds from the wedding account. Seems fair since there's no wedding. Hope you find the lifestyle you deserve." Then I blocked her number and her parents' numbers and her sister Vanessa's number too. I called Matt immediately after. "Need a drink?" was all I said. 20 minutes later, he was at my door with a 6-pack and pizza. Hunter circled us excitedly. He always liked Matt. Probably because Matt snuck him pepperoni when he thought I wasn't looking. I laid out the whole situation, the note, the venue, the money. "Holy _ Matt said, letting out a low whistle. "So, she dumps you with a note after canceling the venue, but before telling you there's no wedding. That's some calculated BS right there." "Yeah, well, I'm done being the nice guy in this story." Matt raised his can. "About damn time. Cheers to finally growing a spine." "Screw you," I laughed for the first time in days. "Seriously though," Matt said, suddenly sincere. "You did the right thing. She was trying to play you." Hunter settled between us on the couch, head on my lap, completely content now that his pack was back together, minus one member he probably wouldn't miss. Sometimes understanding is a very expensive lesson for someone else. The silence lasted exactly 6 days. Blocking is merely a suggestion these days. Thursday morning, voicemail from an unknown number. "Chloe angry, not sad. Justin, what on earth do you think you're doing? You took money from our wedding account. You can't just do that. Call me immediately. Our wedding. The one she can lead. Delusional." I didn't call. Emails followed. Urgent. Financial error. You've made a huge mistake. We need to talk now. The gist? I'd stolen from her. I was petty and ruining her. The break wasn't a breakup. Sure. She waffled about the venue cancellation being not finalized when I confronted her. But let's be real, full cancellation is pretty final. She's spinning, Matt said over lunch at the diner near my shop. She thought you'd roll over and wait for her to decide if you're worthy. Now she's scrambling. Hunter was at the shop, probably napping in his bed behind the counter. The guys who worked for me loved him, and customers seemed to trust a garage with a dog. Good judge of character, I always said. Then Lauren, Chloe's mother, got my work email. It was a masterpiece of passive aggression. Justin, Chloe is distraught. While we expressed minor reservations, your actions have been disproportionate and cruel. You have taken funds earmarked for deposits. Chloe is now in a terrible position. As a gentleman, you should rectify this oversight at once. Rectify this oversight. Love that. as if I accidentally tripped and my money fell out of her account. The $10,000 venue deposit was already gone. $5,000 mine. $5,000 hers. My withdrawal of $25,000 from the remaining $50,000 left her with her exact $25,000. It's not that hard. My one reply to Lauren CC'd to Chloe. Dear Lauren, Chloe can lead the wedding venue on Monday, October 9th, before informing me she wanted a break. The funds were for that wedding. No wedding, so I reclaimed my portion. Chloe has her full contribution. Any further commitments are her own matter. Closed. Red flag to a bull. Weekend barrage. Missed calls. Frantic emails. Justin, the caterer, needs their deposit. The photographer. I paid some vendors from my personal account, assuming the joint money was there. You owe me. Her claims about these other vendor payments supposedly made from her personal account gave me pause. If true, the timing would be crucial. Then Vanessa messaged me on LinkedIn. Justin, listen up. You need to fix this now. Chloe's hysterical. Mom and Dad are livid, and I'm tired of dealing with this drama. Give her the money back and stop being such a jerk. It's just money, and God knows you need to do the right thing for once. It's just money. Easy for her to say. Daddy's company had been paying her consulting fees for years for work nobody could actually describe. Man, the entitlement is off the charts, Matt said, scrolling through the screenshots I'd sent him. Bet they've never heard the word no before. They're hearing it now, I replied. Saturday night, looking at an old photo. We were happy. Felt like a fool. A flash of regret. Then I remembered the note. My family thinks you're worthless. The cold returned. Hunter sensed my mood and pushed his head under my hand, forcing me to pet him. Good therapy, that dog. This is about facts, not emotion. She made choices. She's facing the price tag. 3 weeks passed and things escalated. Not by me. I was Switzerland. Cool, calm, and collecting receipts. Chloe and the Hawthorns. Edward, Lauren, and Vanessa as attack dog had doubled down. Dirty tricks, social media vague booking. Chloe sad. Cryptic posts, trust betrayed. Picking up pieces. Amelia, her friend, cheering her on. He never appreciated you anyway. Annoying but ultimately hot air. You know what kills me? Matt said as we were working on his truck one weekend. They act like you're the villain when she's the one who pulled the rug out. That's how they see the world, I replied, sliding out from under the truck. When you're used to privilege, fairness feels like oppression. Look at you getting all philosophical, Matt laughed, handing me a wrench. Next, you'll be starting a podcast. Autoshop Wisdom with Justin. Hunter was racing around the yard, enjoying the freedom to run. Chloe had always insisted he was too energetic and wanted him created when she had friends over. He seemed happier these days. Made 2 of us. Then came the shared items gambit. Chloe emailed a demand list for items from my apartment. Some gifts from her. Fair enough. But then my stuff bought pre-hello. Sound system, vintage car parts, one collected, tools. We enjoyed them together, but that's not how ownership works. She also demanded kitchen gadgets that were wedding shower gifts sent to my address from my relatives. The audacity, but the financial fog machine was the big one. She claimed she fronted thousands for various wedding things, dress alterations, deposits for smaller vendors, from her personal accounts with the understanding she'd be reimbursed from the joint wedding fund. As I looked into it, I found she had produced some invoices. The problem? I never agreed to reimburse her for personal wedding attire from the joint fund. Her dress was her dress. My suit was my suit. Those deposits she was claiming, I discovered some were dated after she led the main venue. So, she canceled the wedding, then continued to spend money on photographers, florists, and other vendors. On what exactly? A phantom wedding, or more likely to create financial obligations she could later pin on me while she bought time with her break story. She was also demanding I pay half the cancellation fees for vendors she booked, and she led, including the main venue's $10,000 non-refundable deposit. She conveniently forgot that $5,000 of that lost deposit was my money already. She wanted me to pay another $5,000 so she'd be whole and I'd be out $10,000. The math of the truly entitled is a special kind of creative accounting. Her parents backed her. Lauren called my mother. My mom listened and basically told Lauren that Chloe made some decisions without consulting me and is now upset about the consequences. That conversation ended quickly. Go, Mom. Vanessa left sanctimonious voicemails saying, I was jealous that Chloe comes from money and I don't, and that a real man would step up and do the right thing. A secret wedding cancellation is me being petty. Okay, princess. The harassment continued. The Hawthorns couldn't believe their precious daughter was facing actual consequences, so they ramped up the pressure. Edward called my shop directly, getting one of my mechanics on the phone. The poor guy came to my office looking confused. Boss, there's some angry dude online once saying he's your almost father-in-law and demanding to speak to you. I took the call in my office. The door closed. Edward didn't bother with pleasantries. Justin, this has gone far enough. You've made your point. Chloe is very upset. I'm sorry to hear that, I said, trying to keep my voice neutral. But I'm not sure what you expect me to do about it. You know exactly what the money. Return it and we can all move forward. I almost laughed. Forward to what exactly? Chloe canceled our wedding without telling me, then left me a note saying I wasn't good enough for her. There's no forward from that. She was confused. Under pressure. Weddings are stressful and she made a mistake. But you're punishing her financially, which is spiteful and beneath you. Edward, let me be clear. The money I took was my contribution to our wedding fund. A wedding that no longer exists because your daughter can let it. I didn't take her money. I took mine. He sighed like he was talking to a particularly dense child. Look, son, I'm not your son, and I never will be. Fine, Justin, be reasonable. Chloe has expenses, commitments she made in good faith after she can-led the venue. That's not good faith. That's manipulation. This isn't going away, Edward said, his voice hardening. We have options, legal options. Go for it, I replied, surprised at how calm I felt. Document everything I have. The call ended with Edward threatening vague consequences. Later that day, I got another email from Chloe. This one with a spreadsheet attached showing all her outstanding wedding expenses that she expected me to cover half of. The total came to just over $21,000. I forwarded it to my lawyer without replying. That night, I took Hunter for a long walk through the neighborhood. The cool evening air felt good. I found myself thinking about what Matt had said earlier that week. You know what this is really about, right? He'd asked. It's not the money. It's that you're the first person who ever said no to her. He was right. This wasn't about $25,000. This was about control. The next phase of their attack was more targeted. They started reaching out to people in my circle. Matt texted me on a Wednesday morning. Dude, your ex's sister just called my work asking for me. How the hell did she get that number? They'd found my business's Facebook page where Matt had once tagged himself working on a restoration project with me. From there, they tracked down where he worked. What did she want? I asked when we met up later. To get dirt on you, Matt said, shaking his head. Wanted to know if you had a history of being financially controlling or if you'd ever shown signs of instability. Told her to eat dirt and hung up. They contacted two of my other friends the same way. One hung up immediately. The other stayed on the line long enough to tell Vanessa exactly what he thought of her and her family's tactics. Then came the reputation attack. They reached out to a few of my business clients, implying I was unreliable and unstable. Fortunately, most of my customers had known me for years and immediately let me know what was happening. One of my oldest clients, a fleet manager for a delivery company, called me directly. Justin, got a weird call about you today. Woman claiming to be your ex's mother said I should reconsider doing business with you because you're in some kind of legal trouble. What the hell is that about? I explained the situation briefly. He laughed. Well, that backfired on her. Just signed off on getting those 3 new vans serviced with you instead of the dealer. If they're trying to mess with you, you must be doing something right. The last straw was when they called my parents. My dad, never one for long conversations, simply said, My son is an honest man. Your daughter hurt his feelings. You should all be ashamed. And hung up. My response to all this documentation, every email, voicemail, every text message from before the break, my own bank statements proving my wedding purchases, Confirmation from the vendors I dealt with that no contracts were solely my responsibility. Quick chat with a lawyer showed him the timeline, the joint account agreement, a simple one thankfully, stating funds for mutual wedding costs, proof of my contribution and withdrawal, venue cancellation confirmation. His take: you're in the clear. The money you took was verifiably yours, intended for a purpose she unilaterally nullified. Subsequent spending or cancellation fees are her problem, he said. She's trying to push you. Don't let her. Good advice. Smart move with the lawyer. Matt said, dropping by the shop with lunch one day. Hunter immediately abandoned his post at the door to greet him. Traitor. Cost you what, a couple $100? Worth every penny for the peace of mind. Yeah, well, you can thank your brother-in-law for the referral. Mike said he was happy to help. Said guys like you get screwed in these situations all the time because they try to be nice. Not this time, I said, taking the sandwich he offered. The expensive part for Chloe was already happening. She was on the hook for several non-refundable deposits she paid after canceling the main venue. But before the break talk, deposits she kept making to build a paper trail of expenses while she figured out how to squeeze more money from me. The photographer, the fancy cake lady, the string quartet she absolutely had to have for the now non-existent ceremony. Those vendors wanted their cancellation fees and they were looking at her, not me. I hadn't been aggressive. I hadn't slandered her. I just stepped aside, pulled my support, pulled my money. It's fascinating really how quickly we and us became me. When the free ride ended, my resolve was solid. She wanted a break. She got one, a permanent, financially inconvenient one. The worthless comment still stung sometimes late at night. But then I looked at the growing file of her increasingly unhinged demands and thought, yeah, I'm good enough to not put up with this. 1 month later, and it was enlightening. The entitlement reached its crescendo. Then finally, the music started to fade. For them anyway. For me, it's been a period of calm, firm lines in the sand. The dirty tricks continued for a bit, then sputtered out. Chloe, through her father Edward this time, actually had a lawyer send me a letter. It was full of bluster, misappropriation of joint marital funds. We weren't married. Emotional distress, breach of promise to marry. The one she called off. It demanded I return the $25,000 I withdrew plus an additional $15,000 to cover her losses from canceled vendors and damages. So $40,000. Ridiculous. My lawyer sent back a very polite, very factual 2-page response with the timeline, bank statements, and a reminder that her contracts with other vendors were her responsibility, especially those incurred after she'd already secretly canceled the primary wedding arrangement. We never heard from their lawyer again. I guess even he realized he couldn't polish that particular turd. Edward probably wasn't too happy about paying legal fees for that dud. The social media vague booking also fizzled. I think some of her friends, maybe even Amelia, started to piece things together or just got bored of the drama. Amelia, who had been liking and commenting on all of Chloe's passive-aggressive posts, suddenly went radio silent. When your sob story doesn't result in cash, people lose interest. Then came the somewhat pathetic confrontation. Chloe managed to get me on the phone, unblocked her for a day out of a weird sense of curiosity. Big mistake or maybe not. It was clarifying. She went straight to the victim act, wailing about how I'd ruined everything and how she's in debt with vendors hounding her. When I asked who can lead the wedding venue secretly, she claimed she was under pressure and confused, but that I didn't have to be so vindictive by taking all that money. When I pointed out it was my money for a wedding, she decided wasn't happening. She said a real man would have covered those expenses for her. To be a gentleman. I told her, a gentleman by her definition sounds like a doormat with a bank account, and that's not me. When she started crying about how much this has cost her, I told her it's cost her exactly what her choices have incurred. A week later, Vanessa tried an ambush at a coffee shop I frequent. She strode over, designer purse swinging, all puffed up, and started hissing about what I've done to her sister. I didn't even look up from my laptop, just told her there's nothing to discuss. Her sister made choices and is living with them. I suggested she and her parents help Chloe sort out her finances since they were instrumental in her decisions. That's when she dropped her little bomb. Chloe was already upgraded to Richard, the surgeon's son of her dad's golf buddy. Apparently, They'd been seeing each other for weeks, starting right after she left me, and he was already talking about helping her with her debt. That's what a real man does, Vanessa said smugly. I just told her good for Chloe and hope Richard knows what he's getting into. Vanessa went full snob mode, saying Chloe was always too good for some grease monkey, and now she knows it, too. I got up and left while she was mid-rant. Let her explode on her own time. From what I've pieced together, Chloe's credit card debt has been piling up. The vendors she ghosted pursued their cancellation fees, as they should. Her parents are helping financially, but I guarantee it comes with a lifetime supply of I told you so. And how could you be so foolish? I did get one final unexpected email from Amelia, Chloe's best friend, basically apologizing and saying she only heard Chloe's side and is now seeing things differently. I didn't reply. While all this drama was unfolding, I focused on what actually mattered, my business. The auto shop had been doing well, but I'd been so caught up in wedding planning and Chloe's family drama that I'd put some expansion plans on hold. With the $25,000 back in my account and no wedding to plan, I had both the capital and the mental bandwidth to make some moves. I hired another mechanic, invested in some new diagnostic equipment, and started offering specialized services for European cars, something I'd wanted to do for years. Turns out the customers with Porsches and BMWs who don't want to pay dealer prices are happy to find a skilled independent shop. Ironic considering how Chloe's dad had treated me over his precious Porsche. The new direction was paying off. Revenue was up 22% compared to the same quarter last year. My guys were getting specialized training and word was spreading. I even had to start turning away some work because we were booked solid 3 weeks out. Matt stopped by one afternoon when I was going over the books. Hunter greeted him with his usual enthusiasm. Looks like you're doing all right for a worthless guy, Matt said, glancing at the spreadsheet on my computer. Turns out being single is good for business, I replied. Who knew? You should send Chloe a thank you note, he joked. Thanks for breaking up with me, Chloe. Now I can focus on making real money instead of trying to impress your awful family. I laughed. Yeah, I'm sure that would go over well. Seriously though, Matt replied as he leaned on my desk. You dodged a bullet. Imagine being tied to those people for the rest of your life. I nodded. He was correct. The breakup hurt a lot, but it would have been worse to cope with the Hawthorne's constant judgment and Chloe's growing anger for decades. Matt went on, speaking of dodging bullets, have you heard anything about the new guy, the surgeon? I uttered not a word, and I'm fine with it staying that way. I had no idea the story was only starting to unravel. That last call with Chloe was almost 5 months ago, and my world turned upside down around 7 months ago. Life goes on. Now it's quieter. Most of the fury is gone. I don't like that Chloe is having money problems, but they don't keep me up at night. She made that bed. She is using it to sleep in. From what little I know, Chloe is still battling with the money problems. She had to move back in with Edward and Lauren for a while to save money, which I bet is horrible for everyone concerned. The ideal wedding debt seems to be a touchy matter. I saw Amelia at the grocery store about a month ago. She looked embarrassed when she saw me, but she came over to inquire how I was doing nonetheless. She asked me whether I had heard what happened when I claimed I was fine. That's when she let the bomb drop. It turns out that the doctor Chloe started seeing, Richard, was not a surgeon or rich. He was just a con artist who went after rich families. He got Edward to put money into a bogus medical tech business, then he took the money and ran. They were trying to keep it a secret, but everyone in their social circle knew. I couldn't stop myself from laughing. Karma is a... The best part was that Chloe and Vanessa had a nuclear meltdown over it. Chloe said that Vanessa was to blame for getting them together and making her leave me. In front of everyone at Edward's birthday dinner, he called her a toxic... Vanessa can't even go to family events anymore since they won't talk to her. Matt responded, You can't make this, sir. When I told him over takeaway, we were in my backyard. Hunter chased a ball while we talked. It almost makes me feel horrible for her. Almost. The irony is too much. I said yes. They thought I wasn't good enough, and then a con artist who looked like what they wanted took $500,000 from them. It just goes to show. Matt said, Sometimes the best revenge is just getting out of the way and letting karma do its thing. I was finishing up work at the garage one Tuesday evening when Chloe showed up, looking thinner and more drawn, but still dressed impeccably. She wanted to talk. Against my better judgment, I gave her 5 minutes. Hunter, who had been dozing in his bed, immediately perked up when she walked in. He didn't growl, but he moved to stand between us, watching her carefully. Smart dog. She started with the waterworks, saying she made a huge mistake listening to her family, especially Vanessa. Said Richard was a disaster. Her family's a mess, and she's living in her childhood bedroom at 30. Said she misses me and has changed. I felt nothing watching her cry. When she finished her speech about how she's learned her lesson and we could try again, I simply said, "No." Her face fell. "What do you mean no?" "I mean no. We're not getting back together. We're not trying again. There is no us anymore." The tears didn't stop, but something calculated entered her eyes. She asked, "There's someone new, right? You already moved on?" She got mad when I told her my life wasn't her business anymore. When she came to apologize, she said I was being unkind. "You came here because your backup plan failed spectacularly and you need somewhere to land." I'm not it. Her face hardened and she accused me of enjoying seeing her suffer and having a vindictive streak. I told her to leave or I'd call the cops. As she walked out, she said I'd regret this, that when I'm alone with my little garage, I'll wish I'd given us another chance. I smiled for the first time since she'd walked in. I'd rather be alone in my garage than with someone who thinks I'm worthless. Later that night, I texted Matt, "You'll never guess who showed up at the shop today." His response came quickly. Princess entitlement herself. What did she want to try again? Said she's changed and you said hell no. That's my boy. Dinner Friday to celebrate your continued freedom. You're buying in your dreams. Cheapskate. As for me, the $25,000 I'd withdrawn from the joint account went straight back into my savings where it belonged. I kept the engagement ring. It's in a safe deposit box. Maybe one day I'll sell it. Or maybe it'll just be a very expensive reminder. I've been on a couple of dates. Nothing serious. I'm not in a rush. My revenge, if you can call it that, was simply to hold her accountable for her own actions. I didn't stoop to her level. I didn't engage in mudslinging. I just stated facts, protected my money, and walked away. Hunter and I moved to a smaller place closer to the shop. No point keeping the apartment we'd rented with Chloe in mind. It's just right for the two of us. I can walk to work now, and there's a dog park nearby where Hunter's made his own friends. So yeah, life isn't a fairy tale. Sometimes the princess reveals herself to be more interested in the royal treasury than the prince. And sometimes the worthless guy turns out to be good enough to see through the deception and walk away with his dignity and his savings intact.